So today I'm going to talk you through some exercises that are great for stabilising your spine and pelvis, working your centre from a tabletop position. So if you're not quite sure what I mean about the centering, gathering in through your centre, deep abdominals and so on and so forth, you might want to refer to the centering post, which describes bent knee fall out and knee float, which are a little bit simpler, those exercises where you start with your feet on the floor. These exercises I'm going to talk you through today work in a very similar way, but you're starting not with your feet on the floor, but with your legs in what we call tabletop position. So if you want to lie yourself down onto your back and get comfortable with the back of the neck long, so cushion the head if you need to, so that the neck is long and comfortable, chin slightly dropped, and then you're raising the legs into a tabletop position, which is basically where your feet are about the height of your knees or a little bit higher than your knees. You don't want to drop the feet low because that tends to pull the spine into too much of an arch, and we want to keep the spine, if possible, in a neutral position, meaning you've got your normal curve through the lower back and everything's just as it would be when you're upright. So starting in tabletop, you want to allow every in-breath to involve a little bit of expansion, so your belly will inflate slightly. And as you breathe out, you relax the ribs, you gather in through your centre gently, and then you can take a leg movement. In this case, we're going to start with toe taps. So one foot just taps down towards the floor, and then your in-breath to return it to tabletop. Out breath to tap the other foot down, and in breath to return it. So we want to see if we can do these movements with a really nice relaxed rib cage, so you don't get any sense of bracing or flaring or opening the ribs. But with each out breath, you start by softening the ribs. Then you gather in through the muscles of your deep abdominals and pelvic floor. And then the third thing you do, still on your out breath, is move. In breath to return, everything relaxes, and then out breath, ribs, centre, leg. Now if that causes foot cramp, I'm showing you pointed feet, but if that causes foot cramp, you can flex your feet and turn this into little heel digs instead. Exhaling to flatten the belly, and then move, inhaling to return, exhaling to flatten the belly, and then move. And with each one, again, just to remind you, the ribs are soft and the belly must flatten. You really want to avoid any doming, any sort of bulging through the belly. You want to feel that it's sucking inwards towards the spine, so that deep abdominal corset that wraps all the way around the spine is protecting it and holding it still in your neutral position. So that's toe taps or heel taps. You might also want to take this into a leg glide, so reaching one leg away from you as you exhale and breathing in to bring it back to tabletop. Again, the protocol is exactly the same. You're relaxing the chest first, then you're sucking in through your centre, and then you're gliding the leg away. So all three of those things happen on the out breath, and the return journey happens on your in-breath as you allow the belly just to slightly expand and release. So how low you go with your leg will depend on how strong you are through that centre, how able you are to sustain this neutral position. So it doesn't necessarily need to be low. You just reach the leg away on a diagonal, or you can take it lower if you know that the belly is still flattening and you're able to support it. Sometimes people feel this is a little bit more loaded in the back, so what we sometimes do is imprint the spine instead. So if it's easier for you to get the belly staying flat, then you can flatten your back into the floor. That's absolutely fine once you've got both legs raised, to come out of your neutral spine and flatten your lower back firmly downwards. And then that might make it feel a little bit easier for you to flatten the belly and keep it flattening as the leg moves away. So with any of these movements, always go into an imprint if you feel that that gives you a better chance of flattening through the belly, narrowing through the two sides of the abdomen. You can make these movements a little bit harder for yourself by adding in a softball. So softball goes underneath the pelvis, and we still want to feel that the pelvis is relatively relaxed and neutral, and then adding in the wobbly nature of that ball means that as you glide a leg away or as you tap the foot down to the floor, you'll be giving yourself a slightly more of a challenge in terms of your stability. And we can, of course, add on difficulty by lifting the arms as well, and either leaving them still or taking an oppositional movement to the leg. So we call this one dead bugs or bugs. So if you toe tap down with your right foot, then your left arm can reach behind you and the thumb of the left hand touches the floor at the same time as the toes of the right foot. In breath, everything comes back up. And out breath, opposite arm and leg tap down. And of course that might be with your feet flexed. If you prefer the heel tap, opposite arm and leg, tap down to the floor as you exhale. Inhale to come back up. And of course having the ball there just means that you'll be a little bit more aware of any subtle wobbly movements you might be making, any destabilizing that might be going on. You might also do that with the leg glide. You might glide away with your left leg and glide back with your right arm. So opposite arm and leg. And then back to the center as you breathe in. Exhaling to release the ribs, flatten the belly and move through the limbs. So nice and simple, coordinating the out breath with the movement, making sure that that abdomen is flattening and you've got your center fully switched on before the movement of the arm and the leg. So that's just a few ideas of movements that you can do on your back to challenge your stability, engage your center and get that spine nice and stable.